Welcome to Discovering. I'm on vacation right now, so Brian is filling in for me tonight.
Kayaks have come a long way over the years, and probably no category of kayaks has seen as much change as those specifically designed for fishing.
Kayak like this you can put onto a small cart, wheel it well into the woods, get it into that body of water where you want to kind of sneak in.
I spent some time at the Black Duck Hunting Preserve to talk about hunting dogs and dog training.
It's Monday night and it's time for Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone. Forests thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak. Surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields. Call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill. The eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
When I heard that reps from Old Town Watercraft were going to be at Blades Bait and Tackle in Kipling for a demonstration of their latest and greatest in fishing kayaks, I didn't hesitate to stop in.
So we're here today to talk about Old Town's latest invention. It is the Old Town Big Water EPDL. Overall, not much here tells us that it is an electric kayak, but tucked away underneath the seat in the back, we have a 36-volt lithium-ion battery that comes with it. What that's going to do is give you an electric assist to our pedal drive. Now, we've had a pedal drive kayak out on the market now for quite a few years, and in the last couple years we've introduced some Minn Kota motor boats, and now we've got an electric assist drive system. It's got 5 settings up on the screen, taking you from 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 in assist levels, and also offering a cruise control. Meaning when you get out onto the water and you start pedaling and you want to go from point A to point B and maybe rig up your rod, do some adjustments to your fishing tackle, you can set this on cruise control and continue on to your next fishing spot. So kind of a quick walkthrough of the boat. We've got a storage up in the front here, which offers easy access for wiring, so you can add your fish locators. Underneath the boat, we've got a transducer mount, which is directly in front of your pedal drive, and then mounting plates up in front of the boat and along the sides here again for fishing rod holders, your Humminbird units. Activating the drive is very simple. It's just driving it forward and dropping it down into place. And the same thing with taking it back out of the boat. It sits up on a kickstand, so up and out of the way as you're coming into, say, a shallow shoreline as we are here. The seats are adjusted on a slide track, so you can adjust your seat to reach the pedals. We've got a kill switch over here on the side. It won't operate without that engaged. Large cup holder for coffee. And we've got 3 rod holders also included in here for trolling or for storage. In the back, we've got an oversized capacity storage area for large coolers, tackle boxes, rods, and steering of this guy is going to be done with that rudder in the back. So I've got a little steering knob on the side. So all I've got to do as I'm paddling is point this into the direction I want to go. That moves the rudder and engages the steering. The paddle holder here on the side of the boat is going to help for storage. You always want to have a paddle with you, especially in these shallow waters. That EPDL does go down into the water over 12 inches, so when you're coming in, you're going to want to be paddling in instead of breaking off the bottom of the motor drive. And the boat ships all with everything you need. So when you go to your local dealer, it's going to have every aspect: seat, battery, drive, rudder installed. Everything will be ready to go right outside of the bag. Autopilot 120, also by Old Town. A lot different, approach to this guy. This is not going to be pedaled. This one, when you're going to be motoring it, it's either going to be by a paddle or the Minn Kota autopilot motor. So this one was really built around the guy or gal who's going to be primarily bass fishing out of it. Very comfortable to stand in, so fly casting or spin cast fishing. So some of the same features that we talked about on the EPDL, as far as having access and tracks to mount electronics, portals to run cabling through on this one. There's also a transducer mount underneath that trolling motor for your electronics. Battery to operate this motor is also underneath the seats. This one is a 12 volts, and I've just got a standard lead acid battery in here, but you can reduce that weight with a lithium ion as well. Lots of space in the trunk for putting your tackle, your gear, coolers. It's going to be using a remote control to operate it, whether it's by hand here or with an app on your phone. And again, lots of space up in the front for standing up and fishing out of this. Pretty easy stow and deploy with this motor as well. I'm going to pull the lever here on this side, and that's going to come with two as well kill switches, one here and a kill switch here. When I'm done using the motor and I'm coming in, I just pull up onto this cable, and there's a hydraulic shock lift on here to help bring that up. So we're going to send this autopilot out so I can run this remote in the boat from shore about 100 yards out. It'll have reach. So when we're looking at this remote, I've got 20 speed options. So you can kind of dial in how fast or slow you want this one to go. It's a GPS enabled spot lock. So I'm going to hit the anchor right now. So when I hit that anchor right now, that boat's going to stop and position itself to where it was. It's going to stay within a couple feet of where you anchor it. So you find that spot you want to fish, you hit anchor, and there you are. We've got cruise control, we have sensor headings, we can lay tracks with this motor. It's really developed for that fisherman in mind of who wants to control that experience and just focus on fishing. This one also offering not just, the controls by hand, but with our feet, we can drop that big rudder in the back. And what that rudder will do is allow you to do something like what's called a crab walk, which is position your boat. If you hit your heading sensor, lock that in, use your feet to control the back, you can control how that boat is going to walk along a shoreline so you can sit and cast. Some of the advantages here too, not just it being an electrified kayak, but also offering some abilities to get into shallow waters, boat launches that maybe are not maintained or low water levels. You can't take that big fishing boat into the body of water that you normally would because water levels are too low, as we've been seeing this year. A kayak like this you can put onto a small cart, wheel it well into the woods, get it into that body of water where you want to kind of sneak in. The whole unit itself weighs about 130 pounds. So it is something you can put in the back of a pickup truck or on a small trailer, even car top it. When you take the seat off and the pedal drive, a lot of that weight is reduced. So it doesn't take much effort. You can find ways to transport these pretty easily. These boats two of us carry down to the water, and then once you get them rigged up, you're set to go.
If you're a bird hunter, there's nothing better than a good hunting dog. The trick is to get them that way. I spent some time at the Black Duck Hunting Preserve near Rapid River. Black Duck is a full-service hunting operation that also offers gun dog training and general obedience training. I met with Walt Noah to talk about dogs and dog training.
We've been out here north of Rapid River. This is our 5th year out here. I I've been training dogs for over 20 years. And starting May 1st to this time of the year, November, it's mostly dog training. As we get into the fall, we get into more of the hunts. We do pheasants and chukar and quail.
You ready, Perry? You want to go for a walk? Come on, here, come on, you.
We met up with Jeff Serpian and his son for some time in the field.
With the dog training, when we first start off with puppies, if I'm talking your 5-6 month old puppies, it's more what I don't want them to do than what we really want them to do. There's some things that you make mistakes and it creates problems down the road. I'm very big with pups on introduction to the gun.
Good job.
If you make a mistake with that, you know, you're going to end up with a dog that's gun nervous, which, you know, I can fix that. But a dog that's truly gun shy, you're pretty much done. So what I like to do is I introduce to the bird first. Usually I'll take a pigeon, I'll pull flight feathers so it can't fly away, and I'll have a puppy chase. Once I've got a good chase going on, then I'll stand back with a starter pistol and shoot it. And usually they don't even hear it. They're too busy chasing the bird. Once I've got a good chase going on, I've done the starter pistol, I'll stand back with a 410 and shoot that a few times in the air. If I get to that point that the dog's still chasing, the gun's not bothering them, then we'll go ahead and shoot a bird over it. And once we get to that point, then it's mostly just getting more birds over the dog. She had that bird. That bird had it on point, and then it started running, and she trailed it. But these are not the best hunting conditions. It's very dry, very windy. Makes it hard on the dog. Now I teach both flushers and pointers, completely different training. A flusher is supposed to do the best he can do to catch the bird. A pointer is supposed to point the bird, and you're supposed to flush the bird. So with pointers, it's more work. There's a lot more into it. With flushers, especially puppies, what we want them, they got to stay within 25 yards of you. They get 25 yards out, and they get on a running rooster, it's going to be 45 yards real fast, and you're not going to get a shot. So it's with the flushers, it's control. We work on quartering drills, and that usually the second year. Pointers, after I've done the introduction, if they're puppies, I've done the introduction to bird, the gun, and then usually about 6 months I introduce to the collar. I just want them that first season to come when they're called. Once we get into the next season, then we go into wool training. And wool training is I start on a barrel, and I use a plastic barrel because it's slippery, so I've got their attention all the time. And what wool means is plant 4 feet, don't move. So when we get done with this training through the summer, and it usually takes the summer, is if they're 50 yards out in front of me and I yell whoa, they're going to plant 4 feet and they're not going to move, and they're not going to move until I release them. That's kind of the progress we use with the pointing dogs, the flushers. I'm a firm believer, no birds, no bird dogs. The more birds a dog sees, the better he's going to be. I do introduction to the collar. And again, the way I do that is I'll put the collar on for 3 or 4 days. I won't turn it on. I just put it on when they're going to go for a walk, they're going to go for a ride, something they really look forward to. So after 3 days, 4 days, that collar comes out, their butt's going because, oh boy, something good's going to happen. So what we've done now is when the dog's being corrected with the training collar, you're correcting the dog, not the collar. So we're trying to make it so the dog's not collar smart, that he minds when he's got the collar on, and he doesn't mind when he doesn't have it on. In training, I like starting off, especially with young dogs, with quail, and then I'll progress to chukars. And I really like using chukars for training because they're strong flyers, but they don't run. So if you put one down, they're usually going to stay within 6 or 8 yards of where you put the bird down. Pheasants are a whole different thing. A couple things I don't like to use pheasants for on real young dogs is if you get a rooster flushes and you hit it and you only break a wing, when that puppy gets to that bird, the fight's on. And one of two things can happen. One, the puppy's not going to pick up birds anymore because it got beat up. It's going down. Or two, it gets hard mouth. Hard mouth is usually that happens when the bird is still alive and that's fighting the dog. Attaboy. and the dog will crunch down on the bird and crunch down to where, I mean, it can make a mess of the bird. And we don't want either one of those things. So usually I'll let a puppy get to be that 7-8 months old, and I've shot 8, 10, 12 chuckers over it before I'll put it into a big bird like that that'll beat them up. And again, the pheasants run like crazy. So if you're setting a young dog up for defeat, if you put out 5 pheasants and it's 6 months old, after the first one, you're probably not going to get any of the pheasants up because they're going to run so much.
There you go.
Different breeds fit different needs. If you want a pointing dog, some pointing dogs, I'm a big setter guy. Your Ryman type setters are close working grouse dogs, where your Llewellyn setters were bred for horseback dogs. So they are going to run 100 yards ahead of you as a rule. So again, it's what you want. If you want a slow working dog, think about what you want. If you're older and you want to hunt grouse, a flushing dog is probably not what you're going to get. There you go. Because it's your job to keep up with that dog. So in the different pointing breeds, your Brittany's, your setters are closer working dogs. Research what you're doing. If you're going to go to a breeder, check your breeder out, because if they're raising upland dogs, they're going to tell you, yeah, this is a grouse dog. No, I do more pheasant hunting. And a lot of your breeders do pheasant dogs, which is great, except, unless you're going to come out here to preserve or you get over in western UP, there's not a lot of pheasants. And the difference there is a grouse dog needs to work close. A pheasant dog's in the field. My dogs, if they run 75, 100 yards ahead of me, I don't care, because when they go on point, they're not going to move, and I can see them. 75 yards in the grouse woods, forget it. I mean, you're not going to be able to see them, and you're not going to be able to hear them. So again, check around to what you want for a dog. That would be my best advice.
We've been coming out to Black Duck this is our 3rd year. My youngest wire hair, Ruby, has been trained here. We finished her training here, and it's been a great environment for pheasant hunting. It allows us to get into the terrain that we like to hunt pheasants in. It's been great for the dogs. I've got 2 German wire hairs. We got them. They're the same parents, a litter apart. We trained them specifically for birds. We use them for grouse and pheasants. Some people use them for waterfowl. They're a little bit hardier dog. Obviously they've got the beards. That's what they're famous for. But they're wonderful family dogs. My family loves them to pieces. But they've got great noses. Hopefully today we can show you how they hunt. They're pointers, they're not flushers, so they're supposed to hold the bird until you get over it, so you're able to take it cleanly. And they usually do a pretty good job. They both were trained well, and the owner is so shot, but we try to get as many as we can, and they do a pretty good job. We enjoy it. It's a lot of fun to be able to come out here and kind of have a controlled environment, but yet, give the dogs a real pheasant experience. So if you want to go out west, this is another option to do that until you go there. Again, it's really been fun for us. Both my dogs and my family, my boys, we come out here, we get a good gang of pheasants, and been out here with a lot of other friends and family, and we just enjoy it quite a bit.
It's a lot of fun. I train dogs because I enjoy it. I was doing, up until a couple years ago, 7 days a week. I take dogs in for boarding, and I would train. Now I'm doing it on Saturdays, Sundays, turning out a much better product. This year I've worked 26 different dogs through the summer. Pretty much all of them have just really done well. I think one of the things to attribute that to is the internet. People spend a lot of time researching where they're going to get a puppy from. And they look at breeders, they look at reviews. I really think over the last 10 years, I've seen such a better class of puppy that people are bringing out. I mean, you're going to spend money for a good pup. I always tell them, I said, well, how much did you pay for your shotgun? Your shotgun's not going to find any birds for you. Do your research, check the breeder out, you're talking a big investment. You're talking investment of, 10, 12, 14 years. So do your research.
That's all for tonight, and I hope to see you right back here next week for Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.